Hello, friends. Just checking in here. Make sure my mic is working. That's usually the thing here. Hold on just a second. Hey, can you hear me, friend? Debbie? It's always such a pleasure to see your little face on there. Let me know if you can hear me, and we will get started. Those of y'all that are watching but not commenting, please comment and say hi. I know you're creeping. Anyway, we'll get started in just a second. Okay, you can hear me. Okay, good. It might be just you and me, Debbie. So anyway, let's see. It's 2 o'clock. I'm going to go ahead and get started. Okay, so if you're joining us, hey, Adriana, if you're going to be drawing today, we're going to put it all together. This is the last of the series, and wow, it's gone by fast. Super excited to put it all together. And if you need to see the replay, I will upload it on YouTube, and I'll leave it on the Facebook page as well. So if you need to stop and start, that'll be good. Okay, so before I get started, as we wait for others to join us, I wanted to talk about the paper that I use, okay? Because I've never really mentioned the paper and the difference to look for in paper. Okay, so last week I mentioned that my drawing paper of choice is the Strathmore medium, but then when I looked at this pad, it's also the Strathmore medium. See, Strathmore drawing, and it says medium surface. And so I had somebody message me and say, you know, what's the difference and how do I tell? Okay, so really there's only one way to tell, and it's really the weight of the paper. If you compare your, you can even feel the difference. When you feel the different paper, you'll see that this one's a lot thicker than this one. And if you look at the sheet, at the paper pad itself, you'll see where it says 80 pounds. And this one is 70 pounds. See the difference? And in comparison, the mixed media paper, which is the really thick one, look at that, it's 98 pounds. So that's how you can tell. Look at the weight of the paper, and then just open up the pad when you're at the store and feel it, and you'll be able to tell the difference. They might have that same texture, but the weight of the paper is going to be different. And really, like mixed media paper, you can paint on it and you can add more mediums on it. So that's what the difference is, really. But I'm gonna draw on the. I think I'm gonna do this one today. Okay, this one's kind of small. Okay, and in going through, hey, there's my mom. Hello. She usually does the week prior, so this time she logged on time. Okay, so when I was looking for a subject to draw today, I wanted something that was going to be symmetrical, someone that was going to be symmetrical, and not too easy, but then not too difficult. And I realized that we hadn't gone over like skin textures and stuff. I talked about last week we were going to do ears, but that's kind of an advanced class. So I decided to come up with this picture. Isn't she beautiful? I love her face. And the reason I chose this picture was because we haven't done a child. We've been doing hairy men, and we've been doing women, beautiful women. But I wanted to go over kind of the proportions of a child, because their face is a lot more small and a little more squatty. But this little girl has such a symmetrical face that I thought she was perfect. She has the perfect eyes. She's got a little bit of facial, the brows, perfect little nose. She's just a perfect face. And her hair is absolutely gorgeous, which is what we went over last week. So if you missed the hair class, make sure you go back and do the hair, okay? So we're just gonna basically just start at the very beginning, like we did 6 weeks ago. And I'm gonna take you through drawing this little face, okay? And again, I found the artist, the photographer, is named Shanine Kalaji on unsplash.com. So unsplash.com, I tell you, it's a great website. You can find these beautiful images, and they're free, and they let you use them. So thank you, Shanine Kalaji. So anyway, okay, let's get started. So I'm using the color one and the black and white. And for references, I like using both just because of shade differences and stuff. So remember our first class, we started out with a circle, okay? And I'm gonna try to draw her close to the size that she is. Hopefully it's not too, the brightness isn't too bad. Okay, so I'm gonna go over here and start to draw her kind of the size that she is. And remember, we started out with an oval, okay? And see how I'm just kind of putting in that oval. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just find what works for you. I'm using an H pencil, a very light pencil. Remember the grade of the pencil. H is hard, and you can really tell a difference. And B is black or bold. So that's how I'm going to start out. Okay. And then we did her. I'm gonna act like she's straight, but she's really kind of sideways. But we'll do it this way. Okay. Then we divide the face in half. Y'all remember that? And we're going to adjust a lot of this. Remember, I'm doing proportions now, but she's nowhere near the perfect proportions of a formula. So we're going to divide that in half, remember? And then we are going to take the measurement from the half to the chin and then go down a little bit here. And I'm doing this really super quick, okay? Y'all remember that? And then we're gonna erase this line, redraw the vertical, and then split the entire thing in half. So now you're redrawing the circle and then splitting it in half, okay? And then you're gonna split those two in half, if you remember, and these two in half. Okay, remember this is just kind of putting in your plan. Okay, it's like a floor plan. All right. So let's see. If y'all have any questions, let me know. All right. Now looking at her as I look at a reference, I'm going to move all this aside here. Okay. Now you can tell that my face here is way longer than her little face. Okay. So now I start to adjust the face literally just by looking at just her face. Okay, she's kind of squatty. Now I'm going to go ahead and take some of these lines off too, so they don't confuse me. Okay, now remember these are the center line here is the line of your eyes. Okay, so she's got these gorgeous eyes. So we're going to put in the eyes. We're just going to try to put everything in first, okay? Now remember, the width of the eye is the width of the bridge, and she's pretty textbook. Width of the eye, width of the bridge, width of the eye, okay? Pretty textbook. Here, I'm way off. I've got width of the eye, and then it's too narrow. So I'm going to go width of the eye, and so her second eye should be right about here. Remember to use your proportions, scale them with your pencil, okay? So I'm going to act like there's an eye in here, okay? So here's another eye. She's got these beautiful eyes, okay? And we might have to separate them. As I look at that, we might have to separate them. Okay, so another landmark would be her eyebrows. And we're going to go up on her eyebrows. Remember, all eyes have an eyelid. So make sure you draw, hers are pretty deep. This part here, you want to draw that in first. Just kind of, again, we are just kind of outlining a little floor plan of her face. We'll go back and start detail. This is kind of how you want to start drawing a face, is you want to outline all the landmarks of her face, okay? She's got some pretty scarce eyebrows here, scarce. Okay, so we're going to kind of put those in. She's got such a sweet face, okay? So, and of course, this is not going to be, not going to be like exact, okay? So I'm going to erase this Cyclops eye here. Okay, now remember when we do the nose, we go straight down from the end of the tear duct here, the lacrimal gland or whatever it's called, I can't remember. Okay, and that kind of gives us the width of her nostril. Okay, and she's pretty textbook. Look at that. It goes straight down. It goes straight down. Okay, so we know that her nostril is not going to go past that width. Okay, now if I kind of line up my reference here, I want it to kind of be similar. A lot of people do a grid pattern, and you can do that. I don't do it, but they do grids, and then they grid this. To me, that's just, that's a lot of work. But if you want to get exact, yeah, do it. I just don't do the grid. Okay, so we're going to now look for another landmark. So I'm trying to get from her eyebrows to the tip of her nose. So what does that line up with? Well, it looks like from pupil to pupil. See what I'm doing? Pupil to pupil is the same distance as eyebrow to tip of the nose. So I'm going to act like I'm putting in the pupils here, right down the center. Remember, all the pupils are, they're always in the center of the eye. So we're just going to sketch those in just for dimension. Okay, so I'm going to go pupil to pupil and then eyebrow to tip of the nose. So we know the tip of the nose is going to be like right here. All right, she's got kind of a squatty nose. Okay, so that kind of outlines where her nose is going to go. Now we know that the actual bridge of the nose comes in, flares out, comes in and flares out. Okay, and we'll get to the detail of this in just a second. We're just building the floor plan here. Okay, all right. For those of y'all that are following along, y'all are probably just watching and not drawing. Are y'all just watching and not drawing? Okay. All right. So here we go. So then remember, we do a little triangle here for the philtrum, or the Cupid's bow. We went over that with the lips. Okay. And she's got a really cute little philtrum here, this area here. And again, let's measure it. That philtrum distance from here to here is the same as what? Let's do something a little bit easier to detect here. Yeah, let's say the philtrum is right here, and it's the same width as the tip of the nose to the highlight of her nose right there. So this looks like it's right down the middle. Do y'all see that? This is just, if I was to do a little box, that would be right down the middle. So that gives us a good way to see what that measurement is, okay? All right, so far so good. Let's get the lip now. So we know where the tip of that little V is. That little V is right here. Let's line it up a little bit, okay? And then remember, the lip line is going to be right below that. And it's going to be as wide as the eyeball, or the pupil that goes down all the way for the width, okay? Actually, you know what? Hers is actually a little bit less because she's not textbook. Hers kind of goes in like this. So kind of bring it in a little bit, okay? So we're gonna do the little wave of the lip. Those of y'all that did the lip did such a great job. Remember we did the lip here. She's got a tiny little upper lip, which makes it a lot more easy. Okay. And then she's got about twice. Two of the upper lips are her lower lip. One, and two. She's got a pretty thick lower lip, actually. Okay. And notice it lines up right with the nostril, or the nair, the flare, the wing, the ala of the nose. Y'all remember that? Okay, so remember, you're trying to line up landmarks. So I look at that and I go, oh, that's where her lower lip is. So that just gives you, all these lines help to create a face. Without the lines, then you're like just making it up, which is fine, but if you want to learn correct measurements and stuff. All right. So if you're drawing along with me, you should have these crazy lines right here. And let's finish with the chin. We had kind of estimated it here, which was a good estimate from our proportions, but it's a little bit shorter. Again, I'm going to measure it. I'm going to go from the lower lip to the chin is the same as from the tip of the nose to the lip line. Tip of the nose, lip line, lower lip to the chin. So almost close, but it's right there. See? It all kind of lines up once you start drawing it all in. Let me see if y'all can see that. It's kind of light. You'll see that? See, it all starts to line up. See? Pretty cool, huh? Oop, let's go back. There we go. Bring it up a little bit. Well, okay. Okay, so if I'm looking at this, I'm noticing, yep, her chin is about right there. And then this line here is parallel to her chin. See, if you can find ways to find lines that are parallel or they line up, you've got it figured out. Look how thin her little chin is, okay? And same thing here. Parallel, parallel. So we're doing parallel here, parallel here. And that's the difference with children, is their faces and their features are so much tinier and smaller and daintier, you know? Okay, so we're gonna bring it to the chin line here. She's already starting to look like a little child, really, because everything's kind of squatty, a little bit squatty, okay? So let's determine the side of her face here. So eyeball, is it as wide? Not as wide. Let's say nose, is it as wide? Kind of, sort of. Here we go. Lower lip. Lower lip. The lower lip. Okay, so the width of the lower lip, which is right there, is approximately that side. So I'm going to go here, and then I'm going to mark it here. Right there. And then just looking at it, you can tell, really. Or I can. I won't assume anything. Okay. All right, so just bring the line down to meet her jawline, okay? Bring this line down to meet her little jawline. Okay. All right, and then we can see that her, kind of line it up there. It's kind of looking pretty good. She's got big, beautiful eyes. And then we can add a little bit of the hair. We know that her hair, and we'll do the hair last, okay? So the hair is going to be off to the side here, and y'all can do whatever you want with the hair. Okay, I purposely chose somebody with no ears because ears are just crazy. But look at the lining, the way the ear lines up. The ear lobe lines up to the nostril. You see that? Again, you want to find lines that are landmarks, okay? Nostril, I know I'm going to come down here, and that's where her ear is, okay? Don't assume you know where all your landmarks are because, like I said, people are not, perfectly textbook symmetrical. So you really want to look at points that are indicative of where you want to, put your things, okay? If she had the other ear showing, we'd know that it was here and here. She didn't have that, so we're not going to worry about it. All right, and then the edge of her eye goes straight down to the edge of her neck there. So we want to put at least where that is going to go, okay? Let's look at the colored one. It's a little bit easier to detect here. So we've got her ear, we've got her hair happening. We know her hair is going to go like this, and then we're going to make it up here because it's cut off. Okay, so All right, so now that I have my outline here, and also come down here, straight down, we know her neck goes right there. All right, so we have this simulated picture of this child, okay? So now we're going to erase all of our little landmark lines, okay? And we're going to start to actually draw. And I chose this gal because I want to show you how you can do freckles. I love freckles, and I think there's an easy way to do freckles without getting all tripped out about them. All right, so I'm going to switch now. I'm going to go to, let's do a 2B pencil. If you have the different grades, let's do a 2B pencil. And what we're going to do is we're going to fill in the whole thing. Remember when we were doing shading the other day? I think it was week 2 when we did the nose. We're going to shade it in very lightly. And I don't know why I go sideways. I don't know. I just do. But go ahead and give everything that's supposed to be skin a shade of pencil lead, okay? 2B, the softer one is good, okay? We'll just cover the whole thing because we want the whole thing to be consistent. And this is a hatch. Remember hatch? And if I go the other way, it's going to be crosshatch. Okay? Can you see that? Is that dark enough or is that too light? You guys tell me. Okay? I'm covering the whole thing. I'm doing a hatch, which is just one way. And then I'm going to turn my paper and do a crosshatch. Oh, we want to do the neck too. Okay? Just cover the whole thing lightly in one direction. You'll have a real consistent look. Even the ear, everything that's skin, everything. Because remember, we're going to build up layers from here. So your first layer wants to be kind of a soft, if this is a Anglo skin or white skin, it's going to be a light shade as a foundation. Obviously, darker skins are going to need a little bit more lead. Okay, so I'm going to start out like that. And then I'm going to also turn my paper. Sometimes people, they don't feel like they can turn their paper. You know, it's like they're drawing in one way. They can turn their paper. And the reason I'm turning my paper is because now I want to do a crosshatch around the nose where it's darker, okay? So now instead of the hatch, I'm doing a crosshatch, which is going the other direction. It's really not because I'm doing the same thing. It's just, you see, okay? And then I am also going to do a darker shade around her lids. You see how dark her lids are? Oh, they're gorgeous. Looks like she's wearing makeup, but I know she's too little to be wearing makeup. I think that's just her coloring, okay? And then she also has a really nice dark kind of an edge around her lower lids. So what I'm doing is just, again, landmarks, adding the darks where the darks are, and then we're going to blend it all in a minute, okay? Her upper lip, let's make it dark. And I think that's a good start. Okay, so take your brush, okay, and you might want to use even a bigger brush today because it's a lot bigger area. But I'm going to take this little brush that I've been using all week and just rub it in. Somebody's texting me. I hope, let's see, is anybody? Okay, I'm sorry. I thought it was somebody commenting. All right. Okay, so I am blending all the skin, okay? And she's already, not even doing that, she already has a little dimension to her, okay? I'm gonna blend all that in. Now, because my paper has a little bit of tooth to it, you see a little bit of texture, which I'm not too crazy about, but I'm gonna fix that in a minute, okay? So let's work on that for now. Just the face. And then let's go back down on the neck. I kind of forgot about the neck. Remember, the neck is recessed, so whatever is recessed is gonna be darker. Okay, let's talk about light source. Debbie, if you're still on, where's the light source coming? Okay, well, we know that she's got this drop shadow here, and then she's got this highlight here and a highlight here. So the light's coming in from over here. See that? And then you see a lot of light here in her eyes, but it gets a little darker over here. You see that? Gets a little darker over here. So we know that the light's coming this way. We also know that the light's coming this way because of her neck and the shadow in her neck, okay? So look at those types of clues that tell you, oh, this is where the light source is, okay? All right, so let's go back to the neck, and I'm gonna put a little bit of drop shadow here, kind of a cast shadow, using the same amount of pressure as what I started with, okay? And then I'm gonna go back and blend it. Remember, this 6 layers. So, you know, at this point, I look at this and go, ew, you know, but this is just, we're just getting started. Y'all know how that goes. Just getting started, all right? Okay, now, if I'm using the Tortillon and I want to get a little bit darker, look at that. See the difference? So right here, I don't even have to use my pencil. I can take my Tortillon, I've got a big one, and I can actually use that to shade a lot of this gal's nose already, and that'll save you major time. Because you have pencil line graphite already on the paper, so why put more down if she's so light? If she's light, then absolutely you can do this. If she's darker, then not a good way to shade, but because you need to add more pencil. But this is a really good way just to kind of draw with your stump, with your blending stump. See, I just move the graphite around. See that? And that starts to build more dimension. So rely on your stump to help you. Okay, and I'm just gonna go here because I'm starting to lose my eye here. Okay, she's got actually kind of a deeper nose here, deeper bridge, and then she's got a really dark other half here of that bridge. And then I'm just barely going to do the little nostril here, okay? And then a little bit here. All right, so you're starting to see her pop, okay? Now she's got, we'll go back and do all the texture, all the little polka dots, freckles, okay? All right, so, and since skin is so not perfect, unless it's your flawless model, then, you know, it doesn't, these freckles look really, really cute. All right, I'm going to also do her upper lip because it's so tiny with my stump. Okay, so that kind of draws in some cool stuff. All right, so now what I want to emphasize to you is that you want to be going different parts of the face while you're drawing. Do not just like hone in on one thing, because sometimes that tends to kind of make the whole thing uneven. So if you notice, I'm going here, I'm going here, I go over here. I try to build the whole face at the same time, and that really helps with balance. Because if you're just, I mean, we'll be doing the eye in just a second, but you need to kind of balance all of it all at once. Okay. I do that with painting too. I want to see what's happening in all parts of the painting. All right. Okay, so now let's start on the eyes, okay? And I realized that when we did eyes back in class, we just did the right eye. So it's always hard to match the other eye. So let's start with the right eye, just because I'm right eye dominant, I guess you could say. Okay, so remember, we're going to do this little duct here first. And then remember the numbers. We went 1, we went 2, 3, and then it curves around. Remember, eyes are not like footballs. They have a kind of a system to them. 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember, it comes around to 4 and then finishes off at 5. She's got such big eyes too, okay? Now, textbook is going to put the eye right in the center. Hers is not. See that? Hers is off to the kind of the left a little bit. So I want to make sure and try to emulate that. And then you see the bottom of her iris, which is unusual as well, but you don't see the top. Remember, it kind of cuts off. So we're going to put the bottom of the iris visible right there. Okay. And her little eyelashes are pretty straight, but for those of you that have been practicing eyelashes, there's an easy way to do it. You just do a little scallop here, little scallop, and then follow that scallop up. You'll see that? Let me see if I can. Her eyelashes are kind of short. Okay, let's work on this iris here. So the iris is pretty round. Okay, and remember what we talked about with the eyes? The pupil is always in the center. Okay, she's got these blue eyes, which I'm going to switch over to the black and white so you can see it a little bit better. Make it a little bit more obvious here. Okay, so we're going to go dark with the pupil, and then she's got this crazy I don't know, variegation going on in her eye. So I'm going to go from the center out. Remember, center out, variegation. I'm going to leave a little bit of white for the highlight. Okay. Okay, and remember, the edge of the iris and the pupil are both black, okay? And you see, even a blue eye has a black center and a black edge, okay? So be aware of that. So that's going to be my darkest. I'm on I have 2B. I'm going to go ahead and move to an 8B. Because I know that on this little gal, my 8 is going to be the darkest. Okay, so I want to do that dark right there. And my pupil. Okay. And the little variegations here. Okay. So that kind of gives us an idea. All right. Now I'm going to take my little stump. And instead of doing something with my pencil, I'm going to use my stump to kind of blend it in. A little bit more exact there. Okay. She's got, you can tell where has like a ring light. I hate that. A ring light. That kind of messes up the whole highlight, I think. I discovered last week that my electric eraser, you can change the tips and you can actually do a little bitty tip. Oh my gosh, that was like the best because I had such a big tip. So I'm putting in my little highlight, and she's got another little highlight here, which is interesting. Okay. So already that looks like her little eye. All right. So using my black or my 8B pencil, I'm going to go back here and notice that her eyelid is also very dark. So we're going to do a line for her eyelid. Okay. There. And then she's got just these little bitty wispy hairs. And it's just little flecks of the wrist on her eyebrows, okay? Fleck of her wrist. You don't even have to move your hand. Just move your fingers. Fleck it like that. And that's it. They're very sparse. We'll leave it like that for now. Okay? Let's go back over here. Now, if you're looking at the similarity between the eye I'm drawing and her eye, you'll notice she's got really, really kind of bags, you know. So we really want to be able to indicate that with a pencil, these little bags. Okay, so I'm going to just give it a little shade. We'll blend it in a minute. And then she's got this, the shadow of her lashes. She's got pretty long eyelashes on the side here. Okay. All right. So we're gonna finish off that little duct here, and then notice it's really, really dark here. So we're gonna give it a little bit more shading on that eye. Always, always look at your reference. When you're first beginning, I do not recommend you just drawing from memory. That's just really too hard. If you're trying to draw for accuracy, use photo references. They're amazing. Okay. So I'm going to blend that in a little bit. Notice, see my eye and her eye, they're starting to look kind of similar. Okay. I'm going to use my stump. Like so. And also on the lid. And then also, you know what? I'm going to use this stump and I'm going to shade the white of her eye, because I don't want to use pencil lead. I just want to get an indication of the white of her eye. And they're a little bit bloodshot. I mean, if you're looking for detail, you can find that she's got a little bit of bloodshot, irritation around her eye like we all do, okay? But that sure enhances, you know, the shadow. Now, let's go back to the edge of her eye and make sure you put in the edge of her eye, okay? Now, you're going to blend this little shadow here. Now, I'm already seeing it looks a little dark. So when that happens, remember, you can erase anything, but I'm going to blend it. I'm just going to blend it out. Okay, you see how that's starting to look similar? All right, not exact, but similar. And kind of stand back from it, because sometimes if you're looking too close, you go, whoa, that's weird. But stand back from it. And I really like to reference the colored photograph. I don't know, it just seems like it gives me a more accurate depiction of shadow. How are we doing, y'all? Are you doing? Okay, good. Good. All right. So we know that her lid is like super red. Draw with your stump. Draw with your stump. It's okay. Doesn't have to be. Look at what the stump does. The stump gives you like perfect shading. Isn't that neat? Is that looking like her? Let me see. Okay. As I look at my camera here, I notice that I haven't, I'm noticing that her eye here goes down at a slant. So I'm going to close this up a little bit more here and go down at a slant a little bit more. Give her a little bit more eyelash. Okay, that's a little bit better. That look better? Yeah. All right. Continuing on. So we got one eye. All right. Y'all ready to go to the next one? Okay. This is always the test. All right. Same thing. We're going to try to line it up as best we can. Remember, she's got from edge of her lacrimal duct here, edge, it's right, I'm going to mark it. It starts right here. So I'm going to start out just like I did this one, and I'm going to do the same thing. 1, it's backwards now. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Remember, 4 and 1 are kind of parallel, kind of, in a perfect world. And then it comes back around to 5. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, let's look at that. Okay, it looks like I may have made it too small. But you know what? I'm looking at this and I'm going, this eye looks bigger than this one. Can y'all see that? That eye looks bigger than this one. There's less space in here. So I guess I am kind of accurate. All right, so let me see if I can. Does that help? Yes. All right, so if I'm looking at her pupil, we're going to put in her pupil. It barely touches the white at the bottom, okay? And then it cuts off at the top. That's pretty normal. Cuts off at the top, barely white at the bottom, okay? And we want to make sure that the eyeballs, the irises are about the same size. I made it quite a little bit too big here. So I am going to erase some of that. You want to make sure it's about the same size or it's going to look kind of weird. Okay, let's check it. Width of the eye, the iris, and width of the eye. Okay, that's pretty good. All right, and what did I say before? The pupil is always 100% on the center. Again, make sure that your pupils are the same size, okay? You don't want one pupil dilated and the other one not. That would look kind of strange. All right, so far, check. Okay, then what else is consistent about the irises? The outer edge is black. So we're going to make an outer edge that's black. Okay, and then remember, it's the same thing we did. It's almost the identical eye when you look at it. We're gonna do her little variegated points here. Leave a little bit of space for the white, and then project from the center of the eyeball, from the pupil, center of the pupil. Okay, and then use our stump, a little stump, to blend it in, leaving a little bit of white for that highlight. And then she's got that white in there. All right, let's see. Let me get a little. That's a little weird. My eraser kind of went strange. Okay, so are they lining up pretty good? Okay, let's add the upper lid here. Remember what I said? Do a little, let me show you how this looks. This is kind of an easy way to do eyelashes. You do scallop, 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 okay? And then what you do is just carry on that scallop. that same angle. See? Now hers, they kind of go out on the edge and then they go straight up. See that? And then they change direction. That's pretty normal. So that's an easy way to do eyelashes, excuse me. All right, so we're gonna give her an edge here. What am I, 2B? Let's go to 8B. I want dark pupil, dark edge, and then dark eyelashes. Dark eyelashes. And her shading, her shadow is darker on this side because why? Because the light source, remember? So we're going to give it a pretty dark edge here and then bring it here. And then she's got a good dark edge here. See that? Right here. All right, and what am I going to do now? I am going to add a little bit of dark here, a little bit here. I'm going to take my stump. You know what? Let's go ahead and mark the edge of that eye here. Leave a little bit of white showing because that's what she looks like, right? And then let's take the stump, like we did the other side, and shade it in, blend it in. And her shading actually goes, let me bring this out a little bit. Her eyes look very mature, don't they? They don't look like a little girl. They look older. Okay, so I'm just following what I'm seeing, really. This is a good way to draw because you can really measure up to your drawing reference. Nothing wrong with that. A lot of people think that if artists don't draw from their head, that they're not artists, but I disagree. Everybody uses references now. I don't know of many people that do draw just from space. It's kind of weird. All right, so I've made that really, really dark. So that means this dark, her nose is just as dark. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start adding a little bit more darkness there. And let's go back over here to her lower lashes and add that shadow. When you're doing skin, you really want to use your brush, but if you're doing dark, dark areas, use your stump. It's a good rule of thumb. I think I'm going to age this little girl by 15 years. She's looking older, but anyway, no, we'll keep it. They're usually when you put in the nose and the mouth, they look a little bit younger. Okay, now remember what I said about go back and let's do the inside of the eye. It's not always just completely white. It's got some shading to it. So we want to add that as well. Okay, so how does that look? Oh, we forgot the eyebrows, of course. I was like, what? Looks different. Okay, all right, so let's add, I'm using a dark 8B, and I'm gonna just fleck it again. Remember, just a little flick of the wrist here. Just follow the form of the eye. And again, she's pretty sparse when it comes to eyebrows. So we're just gonna add a couple here. And be done with the eyebrows. She's actually got some here. Okay. All right. Okay, how's that looking so far? Let's take a look. All right, so we see that. Okay, so far so good. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and put in a little bit of the hair while I have it here. All right, and so this is kind of the foundation here. We're gonna kind of build our way down. Now, I noticed that this is really, really dark. In comparison, or in addition to this, that's as dark in value. So when you look at my drawing, this is way darker. So we really want to make that darker, okay? So that's how you start building. You start building the shadows, the shade, just one layer at a time. I'm going to pan out so you see what I'm doing. Okay, we're doing the nose. Remember the nose. Everybody did really well on the nose. I was really excited about that. Okay, now the edge of the nose, the ala of the nose, we're going to make sure, and that's a hard line because it is. And then let's do the same, not as hard because of the light. Remember, let's look at our line here. It goes here to here. I went a little bit too broad. Now, if you notice what I just did, I just erased my skin. So that's okay, because we can go back and fill it in. See? And you never know. You never knew. All right, let's go ahead and put the tip of the nose here so that we can give her little nostrils. Remember, it's almost like a little, a bird or a flattened out U, kind of, okay? And her nose is pretty dark, but around the edges, it's pretty light. Let's go ahead and shade that in and shade in her dark. Need to go a little darker here. Okay, we're working on the nose. Remember, each nose has a highlight. So that's going to be here where we marked it earlier. Now, if you notice, she's got a very dark edge here and then a halftone here. Do y'all remember what halftones were? They're a little bit lighter than these drop cast shadows and drop shadows. They're just a little bit lighter. So let's go ahead and make that as dark as we can before we go to our halftone. And if you have to review our class, I believe the class on shadows was the nose. Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay. Remember, she's got this dark thing happening here. Okay. Now I'm going to take my stump and just go ahead. I'm just going to go ahead and bring all that shading over like so. And even bring it over around her nostril, her ala. And then also underneath the nose, because remember where it's darkest is where the light is not hitting it. Okay. How are we doing? Hey, Mary, how are you? Welcome. I don't think you've ever been in one of our classes, have you? This is the last one. But I'm glad you're here. All right. So you see the difference? I'm getting this dark, and then I'm getting a lighter right here. And then I'm just going to round it out. And with my kneaded eraser, I'm going to give her the shading. And she's got a pretty good highlight here. There. If my shading goes crazy, my highlight, if I erase too much, all you have to do is take a brush and blend it back in. All right. Okay. Now she also has a little bit of shading here. Little things like that are what really make drawing really fun, is when you start seeing all the different nuances of the shadows. It's the shadows and the highlights that make up these drawings. It's crazy. Okay. So she's got that right there. She's got this real dark, and then she's got a little bit here, happening. But you know, I'm seeing that part of her eye still is really dark. I mean, it really is. So again, see, I'm going right, left, nose, nostril, a la of the nose here, and then I'll just work my way down. So it just keeps, you balance back and forth, back and forth. Okay, how are we doing? So I'm going to start now, this little cast shadow. Remember, this is really, really bright. This is a little cast shadow here. So all I need is my stump. I don't need to draw it in with lead. I just need my stump. Okay. And if you want me to post this picture or email it to you, holler at me and I will be happy to send it to you. Or go on Unsplash and look up this guy's work. He's got gorgeous work. Shanin, Shanin, Kalaji, Khalaji. He's got some beautiful portraiture. Okay, one of my favorites, actually. Okay, so we got the nose so far. Okay, I never say I'm finished with it because I'm going to keep going on. Now, let me show you what I did here. Okay, so I kind of, let's see, I can see right here where I kind of messed up. I kind of messed that up there. Well, since this is a very, very highlighted area, there's no problem going back and erasing that area because it's the lightest, it's almost one of the lightest parts of her face. So I'm going to go ahead and take advantage and just erase all of that. And because we know she's got these little freckles, I'm going to go ahead and make it look like she's got freckles there, okay? And then bring that all the way around because all of this is highlighted. See? So when you erase things like this, they're highlighted areas, you can go back and blend them in and they'll be a little bit lighter. So that's the effect you want. See, right now it looks real splotchy, but once I blend it, it's going to have that highlighted effect. So you can erase and then you can blend, and that seems to be a good solution for working with highlights. Okay, so right now that looks really, really splotchy. So what I'm going to do is just take it and blend it a little bit, and it already, you know, looks softer and better. See that? Pretty cool. Starting to look like a little girl. You know, sometimes I surprise myself. I look at this and I go, wow, that's pretty good. I don't know. It's weird. Sometimes I don't know. You guys think I'm crazy, but I just go, hey, that actually looks like a little girl now. It's starting to look like her, isn't it? Okay. Anyway, yeah, I need that reminder. Okay, so let's go to the lips now. All right. So first thing I noticed is that she's got this little bitty drop shadow, this little cast shadow right here from that upper lip. So I'm not going to draw it in. I'm just going to use my stump and fill it in there. Okay, that's all I need. Same thing here. She's kind of got this little flare of the lip. She's got this flare. Y'all see that? So just blend it in. Don't worry about using a pencil. So this becomes kind of intuitive after a while when you know what to blend, what to draw, what to shadow. So that just takes practice. Don't let it discourage you. I've done this for a little bit, and so it's pretty intuitive to me, but you'll get it. You'll get it. All right. So I'm looking at this going, okay, she's got a little shadow here, and she's got a little shadow here. Let me move this up and let me pan out so you can see what I'm looking at. So remember, the line of the lip is very dark as well. So I'm going to use my 8B, and I'm going to make this long this line here. And problem that I'm having now is my my pencil is not sharp enough, so that's not good. Well, yeah. So always make sure your pencil is sharp. Okay. All right. You'll see that? It's got a pretty distinct lip line, but it's not thick. That's the difference. So let's go ahead and color that in. And actually, you know what? It looks like, well, no. I was going to say, it looks like her mouth is too wide, but maybe it is. I'll bring it down a little bit. I was looking at this and I thought her mouth is a little, it's tiny, tiny little mouth, and mine's looking really, really big. So again, let's line it up to something. What are we going to line it up? Let's line up the edge of her mouth to the side of her iris, okay, which is right there. It's okay on this side, but on this side, it's too wide. So I'm going to bring it, I'm going to erase it and put it like right there, okay? That is a little bit too wide. She's got a tiny little mouth. Okay, I'm gonna get a better pencil here, a little sharper. Okay, I'm going to a 4B now. All right, so let's just redraw that here. Remember, the lips were pretty good. You guys did great on your lips. Okay, now halftone. She's got a little halftone, and then another one here. Actually, that's a cast shadow there that's a little darker, and then this is right on the light. This is the highlight. So let's distinguish that. I am going to blend in the top lip first, get it smooth, and that will let me go to the second layer here. And then to the final layer. Let's see if we can just add the stump blending without adding more lead. How does that look? Okay, we'll fix that in a minute. I have lost my little philtrum. Just disappeared. I'm going to add that again. Remember, this is the philtrum. Cupid's bow. Okay. All right. What I'm noticing here is that her lip is a little bit round, really rounded here. It's a lot more rounded than what I have here. How are we doing? All right. And then here under her lip is another dark edge. Almost a dirty lower lip edge. I may have made her lip a little too thick, but oh well. That's okay. It's not going to be perfect. Okay, let's blend that. And then she's going to have a really nice highlight right here. Okay, so here's a couple of things I'm noticing here. I'm going to start putting in the texture of the lip. All right. Okay, a couple of things on the lip. I made the lower lip a little bit too thick. Do y'all see that? Just a little bit too thick. And of course, since I'm pretty anal, I am going to erase that because I don't like it. So I'm going to take that off a little bit. Don't be afraid to erase that because you can totally fix it in again. So let's redraw that. I went a little too too deep on that. So let's just cover that up. And then again, she's got that dark, y'all see that? Yeah, that dark line at the bottom. Okay, let's try that. That's a little closer. If I look at the comparison, it's a little closer. Okay, so we're gonna blend all that in and blend all this out where I erased it. Okay, let's take our brush and just kind of blend it all together now. And then we're gonna put a nice highlight right on that chin because she's got a nice highlight. Okay, again, I am taking off quite a bit to the white of my paper because I know that I can reblend. See, looks kind of splotchy there. That's okay. I'm going to bring it on out here, actually. Okay. Do that. I'm going to also take off a little bit from here, and I'm using my kneaded eraser and a little bit here. Okay, so now I'm taking off where she is lighter, okay? Different places here too. A little bit off the top of her brow. Just a little bit. And then a little bit here. So yeah, she looks blotchy, but once again, we can blend all that in with the brush. Make sure you're using a brush. Now, I also said you could use a Kleenex, but I really recommend a brush because you can get a little bit more accurate with the brush. Okay, so she's blotchy. Now I'm going to blend her in a little bit here, like that. See that? How's that? Blend her all in. Okay. And then we're going to add a little bit more down here. Now that we've been shading and blending and shading and blending, we know where we need to go darker and we know where we need to go lighter. We know where we need to erase, etc. Okay. She's got a pretty dark line under her chin. So I'm going to blend that in. Okay. And then she also has, let's go back around this again. We're looking at her whole face now. We're going to balance it all out. Okay, I'm seeing darker areas here. So I'm going to add a little bit more here. And then around her ear, around her neck here. A little bit more around her neck. And you just basically travel along her face. Travel around her face and see where you need to add darkness, okay? Because that's what's going to make it pop. Like here, she's got a pretty good line around her face here. All right. And then here, that turns into her hair. We'll get to that in just a second. Okay. All right. That looks pretty good. What do you think? If you're drawing along, I'm sure yours looks just as good as mine. Okay. All right. Now, let's add Freckles because that's kind of her little trademark, I think. I want to add a little bit of darker eyelashes. And remember, eyelashes don't have to be even because, I mean, if you look at her eyelashes, they are not even at all. There's a couple here, they're kind of clumped. There's a couple here, she's got a couple here. And then, oh, we forgot her lower eyelashes. We want to add her lower eyelashes because definitely she's got beautiful lower eyelashes. And they're pretty consistent, actually. lower lids, lower eyelashes. Remember, the eyelashes do not stem from that edge of the eye. They stem from the lower lid. Okay, you see the space? There's going to be a space between the edge of her eye and her lid. Always remember that, okay? Now, let's go ahead. I'm just making sure that she's dark where she needs to be dark and she's light where she needs to be light. So I'm looking at her lids, it's a little darker here. I'm going to give her a little bit more here because it's pretty prominent. And then a little bit more here. Okay. Then I'm going to go ahead and start her little freckles. Okay. So with the stump, whatever size you have, you can start adding freckles. And I would suggest using the stump first. And then if you want to, you can add actual freckles that are darker, but you don't want them to be so dark, you know. I mean, she's got some pretty dark ones. I mean, she's got one here and she's got one below her nose. She's got a couple under her nostril there, and then here. Go for the darkest ones that are really, really dark. The rest, I would probably stick to the stump. She's also got a little birthmark or a little mole right there, so we're going to add that. She's got one on this side as well. This is where you have fun adding detail to her face. But all in all, her freckles are her character. So you really want to spend a little time with her freckles. And I wanted you to do someone with freckles because I think that just adds another dimension to your drawing ability. So, and remember, freckles are not the same size, the same shape. So be careful with that. Like I just did a whole, she looks like a cheetah, but you want to make sure that you're changing it up. Okay. She's got such rich texture on her face that. So let's take a little time to add some freckles here. You really see them on that highlight. Little bitty ones, little ones here. Sometimes if you need to add just with a little light pencil, if you just need to add just a couple of more just for texture, take the side of your pencil and add a little bit of texture there. And then blend it so it looks like they're freckles and they're not spots, manchas in Spanish. Okay. And then detail, as far as detail, let's put in a little bit of wrinkle. You know, she's got creases, just little creases. She's so tiny that she doesn't really have creases, but that's always fun to do. Okay. So, okay, we've got the freckles. Got all that. Now we're going to blend it all so it doesn't look like it's little ants. I might have to tone those down a little because they are a little bit dark, but anyway, okay. All right, so far so good. Okay, now I'm going to take my electric eraser, my handy dandy. If you don't have one of these things, they are amazing. And I am going to add lights where they need to be. We'll start here on the right with the eye, okay? She's got a pretty good highlight here. And then right along, almost where the, I hope y'all saw that. Did y'all see that? It was my hair in the way. Almost like a teardroppy looking thing there. Okay, we're going to add a little bit here too, just to make it look shiny. Okay, a little bit here. Her lips. Let's work on her lips a little bit. She's got. This thing kind of goes crazy if you don't control it. I haven't quite mastered it yet, but yeah, as you can tell. Let me blend that out. Because I was trying to make it lighter, but kind of goes crazy. So just take the stump, blend it out. It kind of lightens it up a little bit. And it kind of makes it look like cracked lips a little bit, which is good. Now I've lost the line of my my lips. So I want to add that back on. So take a nice sharp pencil and reapply your lip line. And then I'm going to go ahead and outline her lip a little bit more because it is pretty dark. You don't see that? Yeah. Okay, how's that? Any other places that we need to put the white a little bit? Maybe a little bit here along the brow because we haven't really accentuated her brow very much. And it is pretty high. So let's take off a little bit on the brow here. And then add the the hair, the brow, her little brows. Okay, all right, pretty good. Let's add the hair. How are we doing on time? What time is it? Oh, we've already passed an hour. That's okay. I kind of warned everybody that this is going to happen. All right, so we're going to quickly add the hair, and I'm going to start out by just adding her. She's got these wisps, and again, I'm going by the drawing reference, not perfectly, but it's a good way to help. Okay, let's look at the lining here. It stops about here, and I'm going to get a paper towel because I can't stand to smear. Okay, so right now, her hair is pretty easy because there's no highlights or anything. So if you just add in curls, you're going to be fine, really. It's when you actually do the body of the hair here. We're going to start out with the darkest grade here. Okay, and we're going to go to we're going to outline the face, go to the neck. You want to go as dark as you can because that's where it is on the picture. It's very, very dark. Okay. Same thing here. Pretty much, her hair is pretty dark all the way around. This is where the black and white will help because you can actually see the lighter things on the black and white. Okay, so we're just going to add all that in. It's pretty dark. Just go crazy with it. Okay, now remember last week, if you didn't join us for the hair, there are places where you have to have patience, and it's going to be one strand at a time. Okay, you can't just go in and just go crazy with it. I mean, after you've done your black that you can go crazy with, you really need to concentrate now on putting in the strands in the direction of the hair. So, for instance, if I'm doing this curl here, I'm going to carry that same direction of the hair. Okay, and then I'm going to go dark in areas, and then I'm going to go light in areas. Okay, and this will take a while, so I won't do it all here, but just to give you an indication, this right here, it's kind of darkened out. I'm going to take my strands in the direction of the curl, okay? The direction of the curl. Now, here's a good example. Let's say I were to color that in, that curl, color all that in. Well, you can take your eraser, either a fine point eraser or one of these bad boys, and you can actually create your highlights. And you can actually create strands to make it look like hair. That's what's cool about these erasers. See? So you can do that. But for the sake of time, I am going to finish this up off camera and then I'll post the picture. But make sure if you haven't done the lesson on hair that you watch that first, okay? All right, let me see if I can finish this. Now, if I'm trying to do big, long strands, I'm going to use the side of my pencil, and I'm going to go in the direction of the hair. So she's actually got this curl that goes this way. Do you see that? And then she's got these that go this way, and she's got all this crazy hair, which is always fun. The bulk of her hair is like ends right there. Let's check it. There's a width, the width of an eye. So the width of an eye is the width of her hair, okay? So we're going to stop it right there, and we're going to color that in. Now, when you're coloring hair, make sure that that you're not, unless it's curly hair. Yeah, curly hair, you can do this. But if you're doing kind of straight hair, again, direction of the hair. So you want to do the direction of the hair. Otherwise, it's going to look really crazy. If you want it to be accurate. So I can add all of this direction of the hair right here. And then I can go back and add all my highlights and stuff, you see? Okay, and then let's go over here. Width of the eye, so you'll see that? Width of the eye, width of the head. Width of the eye, width of the head. So we know she's going to end right here. Again, she's got pretty curly hair in the back. So that's pretty, her hair's kind of pretty cool. It's kind of crazy, but you want to go in the direction where her curls are laying. So this is dark, 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 dark. And then it gets kind of curly. It's kind of straight over here and curly over here. And last week I used graphite. So I might be using graphite for her hair because I want to go darker. Okay, so I will continue this and post a finished picture. Her hair goes all the way down. I mean, look at this. She's got gorgeous hair, okay? So her hair goes like this, and then it goes like that. She's got beautiful hair. Let's just say it's going to go like this, okay? I'll add all that in. And then I'll add it here too, okay? But for now, I can't stop. I can't stop. I'm just going to add kind of the shape here. Okay. All right. Okay, so I will finish that. We'll get it finished up with the hair and everything. If you have any questions, just holler at me. That's it for today. Thanks for joining me, and this has been it for the series of drawing. This will be on YouTube if you need to go back and replay it, and go to thewildnest.com if you want to join our art club. We're doing a lot of fun stuff over there. And follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and I have an Amazon page. If you need some supplies, go to Amazon influencer page, The Wild Nest Studio. Okay? Y'all have a great day. Get out there, enjoy the sunshine, and happy spring. Take care now.